Quiet, numbskulls. I'm broadcasting.
Say hello, Katie.
You're probably going to want to do that one more time. Mr. McCoy would say.
What am I, a doctor or a moon shuttle conductor?
I think our audio might have been off on that one. Mics were off.
Well, it's great to have you along tonight. Thanks again for joining us. We will start with a little bit of news. There is a big collection of Star Trek props, costumes, models from the original series and even beyond through the entire Star Trek that is going up for auction later this month. This is being done by Heritage Auctions. And this is a pretty big collection. I mean, these are screen used Mirror Universe uniforms from the TOS episode Mirror Mirror. That's one where Kirk and crew go into the Mirror Universe, which is the evil universe, one of my favorite all-time episodes. Also the William Shatner Captain Kirk 3-piece alternate universe ensemble has an opening bid. How much do you think the opening bid is? $30,000 is the opening bid. Also the Leonard Nimoy Spock piece going for about $30,000, and George Takei's Lieutenant Sulu opening for $10,000. Then they got some other TOS Starfleet uniforms, including the uniform that Majel Barrett won. This is Gene Roddenberry's wife, Majel Barrett, who played number 1 in the pilot of The Cage. And that's opening at $4,000. They've got weapons. They also have a model of the K-7 space station that was created for Trials and Tribulations and a bunch more. Oh, and Ricardo Montalban's glove that Khan wore in the Wrath of Khan, Star Trek II. That's opening, I think, for what's the $2,500 and more. So a bunch of Star Trek stuff that's going up on bidding. It'll be interesting to see how much stuff goes for. You amaze me because, I am so much into stuff and you're not into stuff at all.
Well, you got to wonder if there's like one movie prop you can have from any movie. What's it going to be?
I would lean toward one of the ships probably, or I'm keen to the phaser.
See, now I'm honestly surprised you didn't go with a Batmobile.
I limited myself to Star Trek. I thought that's where we were at. No, but yeah, I would love one of the original Batmobiles. There were so few of them. That'd be beautiful. But I've got nowhere to put it. What am I going to put it in the garage?
Well, that's what everybody else does with collector cars.
Yeah, but
unless you're
where does my car go?
That's what the Subaru's for.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I suppose unless you're Jay Leno and you got a whole staff to take care of your stuff.
Which is pretty incredible. Jay Leno's got a beautiful collection, and I'm always blown away at the amount and the number of cars and how really beautiful they are.
He's meticulous.
He is, absolutely, and it shows. And I think you find collectors kind of are that way.
Well, someday.
So we also want to talk a little bit about people who defined a role. And for me, William Shatner as James Kirk is a great example. People who defined a role when they, and you saw that, I think, in a variety of different movies. As I started to talk about it and think about it, you have got William Shatner comes to my mind, Sean Connery as James Bond, and we're going to talk more about Bond coming up a little bit tonight.
Yep.
Do you have any that really pop into your head at all?
Well, especially when we're talking about Bond. Sean
Yeah.
Connery's the epitome of Bond for me. I mean, he created that whole genre. He
Literally.
literally. And I mean, like, yes, recently I've started getting more into Star Trek. Don't know why, but you've ruined
My
me.
apologies. I know. I feel terrible.
Yes, you should.
You're watching Star Trek you shouldn't be watching. I'm like, we're watching this? Oh, get rid of this.
Yeah, you were giving me crap yesterday about watching Voyager. Anyway, especially like with Star Trek. Yeah, where does everybody reference back to? James T. Kirk and how William Shatner played it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because
And he was terrific. But I think, there are others. And as I started thinking about it, I started to actually come up with a fairly long list of people, because you've got Christopher Reeve. I thought, there have been other actors who played Superman. Christopher Reeve, I think, is kind of the first guy that pops up in the minds of many. I thought about Michael J. Fox, Back to the Future. He started on Family Ties. But the Back to the Future, 3 movies, it was a very, pivotal role for him.
I gotta laugh with Back to the Future because I've also been watching the show Fringe lately.
Yes.
And in that show, they've got an alternate universe. And one of the Easter eggs I had in that show is they show the alternate universe. And of course, it's not Michael J. Fox who starred in Back to the Future. It was the other guy, Bowles or...
I forget Eric. Yeah. His first name is Eric. I forget his last name. He was originally cast, and they started shooting Back to the Future with him, and they went, yeah, this is bad.
Because wasn't he too serious?
Yeah, he just didn't bring Michael J. Fox. Yeah, you got to give him credit. He is an incredibly likable guy. He really brought that character to life. And when you have an actor who's doing that, it brings the other actors to life too. I would bet that Christopher Lloyd as Doc probably turned in a better performance because of Michael J. Fox than the previous guy.
It was Eric Stoltz.
Yeah, that's it. Eric Stoltz. Yeah, bad. But then think about how Star Wars made really icons out of Mark Hamill, who then went on to become the iconic voice of the Joker in a lot of Batman movies and cartoons. But the same thing for Harrison Ford. Not only did he create Han Solo, but then he created Indiana Jones and spun off a whole series of films. What are they up to now? 5? At least 4.
I'm not too fond of after Lucasfilms took over the Indiana Jones genre or franchise, though. They kind of wrecked a little bit, in my opinion.
Yeah, I thought that 4th film was not worth the time.
Is that the one, Crystal Skulls?
Yes.
I don't know what you're talking about. That movie in my timeline does not exist. But, for that whole, archaeologist goes and, search for treasure. I mean, because you've got, Lara Croft,
yes,
Tomb Raider and stuff like that. But they all follow that same trope set out by the Indiana Jones.
Yeah, absolutely.
Story.
After the same kind of things. So it just iconic. And to not only play one iconic character of Solo, but then to, Indiana Jones is incredible. Think about, I love Michael Myers and the Austin Powers movies. They just absolutely crack me up. I think he's hilarious. But again, look at the longevity of those movies. And then there are others. I think of Tom Hanks and Tim Allen from Toy Story.
Yep.
Tommy Lee Jones and Will Smith from Men in Black. I love that movie, Men in Black.
Yeah, that's a great movie.
But, and unlike other films, the sequels don't suck. They're actually not bad. They're pretty good. I think especially the third one.
Yeah, that one's actually very good.
They brought in Josh Brolin to play the younger Tommy Lee Jones character, didn't they? Josh Brolin's in Men in Black 3, I think.
Questions.
That's pretty good. I should know better than to ask you. I'm pretty sure.
It's kind of funny. We're talking about people who defined roles.
Yeah.
I'm lucky if I can figure out who the actor is. So many times aren't we watching something on TV and I'm like, Hey, that said actor
You
in
never
this,
get it right.
yeah.
I told her, you asked me the same thing the last time we watched this. How can you not remember? I looked it up. We went through it.
Yes, Josh
I don't have a
Brolin.
memory. You'll notice I didn't remember either.
You're right. Josh Brolin was in Men in Black.
But then I thought about Keanu Reeves in the Matrix films.
With the exception of the
Sylvester-
last one.
What's that?
With the exception of the last one, which again, that one doesn't exist either.
Yeah, and you haven't seen that, have you?
No.
Because everything I read was bad.
And that's kind of what kept me away from it. But in addition, I think I saw something in the news when I was flipping through Twitter earlier today. I think it's HBO or Warner Brothers is getting sued over like how bad that was. I'll have to find that article.
If we were suing movie studios over bad movies, I would have sued over Batman and Robin. I mean, come on, give me a break. Sylvester Stallone's another one with Rocky. That franchise was, and it's not the only character again that he created. Then I thought about Mel Gibson, Danny Glover, and the Lethal Weapon series of movies. There are just so many movies that really have become iconic over the years. And the actors who really breathe. I mean, I don't want to take anything away from writers because there's great writing, but the actors who really brought them to life.
Yeah, here you go. Warner Brothers sued over the abysmal Matrix Resurrection release from The Guardian.
Forgive me, but I find that stuff funny.
I find it just, comedic justice at this point because it was so bad. It's like you want to end your franchise on a high note. You don't want to be that one who's just out there for one more movie, and then it's just a dumpster fire.
Yeah, absolutely right. There is something to be said to leave audiences wanting more.
Exactly.
So we promised that we're going to talk a little bit about James Bond tonight. This year is the 60th anniversary of the James Bond movie franchise. I didn't realize that this was an anniversary year for them. So Katie and I have each come up with a short list of Bond movies starting at number 1. And we would also ask you, if you're watching, please comment with your favorite of the Bond movies and the Bond actors. The Bond movies are just, for many of us, because 60 years, it's lasted a long time. You've had different actors, different directors and storytellers. It's been really a compelling franchise, different, villains in the films. So let's start, Katie, we'll start again with from best to number 5. Starting at number 1, what's the Bond film that you rank as the best?
Oh, come on. We got to go worst to best. Let's go 5-1.
This is what she does to me. I asked you specifically. Do you?
Well, I'm typing and moving stuff over here, pressing all the buttons.
So number 5, what do you come up with as number 5?
People are going to disagree with me on this one, but it's Live and Let Die. And for me, the reason why I enjoy Live and Let Die is the storyline. It's not that necessarily it's my favorite Bond in that one. It's just that the storyline's really good. And I enjoy it.
Don't you be bad-mouthing Roger Moore. I know you're not a Roger Moore fan. I am. Actually, I also listed Live and Let Die as number 5.
Sorry, you could hear my eye roll.
There are a lot of things I loved about Live and Let Die. Roger Moore, I think, that was his first Bond film. You've got music, the opening credit music by Paul McCartney. You get Yaphet Kotto, who's in it.
Mm-hmm.
Her name, I almost had my hand on her name. Her name escapes me. But it made stars out of several of these people, and it's really, really good. I enjoyed it. Live and Let Die is a great movie.
See, and now Live and Let Die ends up on 20. So in an article we found at GamesRadar.com, they ranked them all. Live and Let Die ended up at 21 on their list from best to worst. So it's like towards the bottom.
No, that's a great film.
It
And I'll
is.
tell you, I could have come up with 20, a list of 20.
Oh, yeah.
Because there are a lot of Bond movies that I like. So let's go to number 4. What's yours?
Skyfall.
So
And
now we're moving to Daniel Craig.
yes. Well, that's our next topic, so I'm going to hold that one off. Yeah, Daniel Craig is great in that movie. And I think just for some of the newer Bond movies, now I understand that one's it's kind of a standalone,
Yes.
if I remember correctly. But it's just such a great, between Judi Dench and Daniel Craig, I mean, they're just great in that movie, and that whole storyline is just really compelling. Plus, the music is phenomenal in that.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I love the soundtrack, and I thought Judi Dench and Daniel Craig really connected together in that film. My number 4 is The Man with the Golden Gun. That's another Roger Moore film. It's Christopher Lee is in it, and Hervé Villechaize is in it. Winds up getting locked in a trunk at the end of The Man with the Golden Gun. But I loved that contest between James Bond and the character of Christopher Lee. I think that's a great film. That's one of my favorites. So we move on to number 3. What do you put at number 3?
I'm going with Dr. No.
The very first of the James Bond movies.
Yes. It's just a really good movie. I've always liked it. It introduces a lot of great characters.
20 and counting.
But yeah, I just like it.
Yeah, I do too. It's a great film. And forgive me, I should have looked up the actor's name who plays Dr. No, because he's pretty good. My number 3 is Diamonds Are Forever. That's another Sean Connery movie, Diamonds Are Forever, which I really, really like. It's got a lot of action. You get Blofeld in it. How can you go wrong? There's just a lot of great things about Diamonds Are Forever.
Sorry, I'm trying to find Dr. No who it is, because otherwise it'll be all night.
That's all right.
Joseph Wiseman.
Yeah, that's his name. And I've seen him in other things. He's one of those actors, like, I've seen this guy in other things before, and I can never quite place him, but he's great as Dr. No.
Yep.
So we'll move on to number 2.
Casino Royale, another Craig one. It introduced Craig as the new Bond.
Right.
And for me, he did a really good job. Also, it introduced a whole new storyline too. I'm sorry, it's a remake, sort of, isn't it? If I remember correctly.
No, you and I had that conversation.
Yep, and I failed to remember that.
Because the original Casino Royale was made as a comedy.
There you go.
Peter Sellers played James Bond, and it was music from it you would know, actually.
Right.
Yeah. Very much from the time, but that was a comedy versus this Casino Royale, which is really serious Bond.
And it introduced the whole new cast pretty much for the next generation of Bond, because it was Felix Leiter. No, he's Felix Leiter in the movie, but I can't remember who its actual name is.
We talked about him because he's playing Commissioner Gordon in the Batman, which is coming out,
and he's in Westworld too.
Yeah.
It introduces the new M. It introduces the whole new cast of characters. So that's why I liked it.
I like that movie as well. It's good. My number 2, and you mentioned it already, is Skyfall. There are a lot of things about Skyfall I really liked. I loved the throwback to the old Aston Martin that Sean Connery drove when he was Bond. And to see Daniel Craig in that Aston Martin in Skyfall, there's just a whole host of things I really liked. I liked the way that they drew Bond and Judi Dench together as M. Really great relationship between the two of them. Skyfall is one of my favorites. So we get to number 1. What's your number 1 Bond movie?
Anybody who disagrees is wrong. It's Goldfinger.
And I won't disagree, because that's my favorite Bond movie too.
Goldfinger is just great because every one, the music is amazing in it. The acting's great. It's kind of the quintessential Bond film, especially from the Sean Connery era.
When I was a kid, when that was on TV, I would just sit and watch that. I was absolutely mystified. And when Odd Job would throw that hat, and it gets stuck between the bars, and Connery electrocutes the, just that whole thing was just incredible. There were so many things in that movie, but you get great performances too. On the music, the title song by Shirley Bassey is absolutely incredible. They tried her again on the next Bond film, on a subsequent Bond film, and it was Thunderball. And they asked her to she did a song called, forgive me. I should have wrote it down. I think it's Kiss Me, Kill Me, I think, is the name of the song by Shirley Bassey. And it is absolutely terrible. I love Goldfinger so much. I love that song. And is it Kiss Me, Kill Me?
Yep.
The song from that is just like, what in the world? So at the last minute, they reached out to Tom Jones to do, literally, at the last minute, Tom Jones did the Thunderball theme, and it's absolutely iconic. I love hearing Tom Jones anyway,
right?
But singing that Thunderball theme is just awesome.
I love the music for it. And I think up until a few years ago, it was like, if you ask any Bond fan, that was like, I was the number one in survey after survey. It was, Goldfinger was the number one rated. Daniel Craig.
Yeah, which is easy to believe, actually, because it really is a great film. And when you watch it, at least for me, some films wind up just being horribly dated, and there are maybe a few things about that, but most of it holds up remarkably well.
Right. So, if we're talking about Bond, and we're talking about Bond films, this leads us into our next one. Who's the best Bond?
Which is a great question. Who is it for you?
Hands down, Sean Connery.
I think Sean Connery is pretty darn good.
And it's funny because you look at a number of different online, like, hey, we rate him.
Yeah.
And it's Daniel Craig. And
Really?
some of them even rate Pierce Brosnan as high.
See, that's hard for me to believe. I do find it easy to believe that Timothy Dalton is nowhere on the list. I own a lot of the Bond movies, right? I own a lot of the Bond movies. And the only movies, I refuse to denigrate my collection by buying those films with Timothy Dalton.
Yeah.
There are things I like Timothy Dalton in. James Bond wasn't one of them. Those movies are awful. They're just absolutely terrible.
But what do you do? Although I do like Daniel Craig. He is a close second.
Yeah, I would agree with you wholeheartedly. Both great actors in their own right and absolutely terrific. So, moving on, talking about Bond, that's our big subject tonight. And again, we welcome your comments, your thoughts. You want to share those with us, please do. I ran across a piece recently, and it's about asking actually whether you're nervous about booking a vacation. And here's what the survey says.
Survey said
Over half refuse to book a vacation without reading reviews first. Now, I thought that was pretty interesting that they won't book a vacation until they read the reviews. And it got me thinking not only about vacations, but other stuff. Katie, it's not unusual that you're buying stuff online at,
Amazon.
From Amazon.com. Do you read the reviews?
Yes. And the funny thing is I order enough stuff on Amazon. I suffer from Prime-nesia, where it's you order so much stuff you don't realize what the Amazon package is going to be. just like, oh, there's more Prime boxes out here.
Yeah, well, I can't laugh at that because the same thing has happened to me.
Yes, I am that person who orders deodorant on Amazon. Just don't have to go to the store and get it. But anyway, I think more and more.
What, do you not want to be seen buying deodorant or what?
I just forget about it, and Amazon's on my phone, and I can order it up, and I don't have to worry about running into Lewis.
It is incredibly convenient. I would agree.
And I think especially over the last couple of years, especially, I think we've really gotten used to using Amazon so much. But I think as we've started shopping more and more online versus brick and mortar stores, people depend so much on reviews that because we're not having that physical product in our hand and say,
Right.
oh, this phone got so many reviews, or this is what this phone looks like, or whatever.
Well, there are so many bogus reviews out there, you know, and I've had this happen where I bought, it was a really inexpensive television antenna because I'm a big Svengoolie fan. Shout out to Svengoolie. Love Sven. And so I watch that on MeTV every Saturday night. I enjoy doing that. And so I bought this antenna and not available in store, not, you know, what I needed, I couldn't find in stores. So I get it, and inside is a card that says, if you will leave us a positive review, we will then refund you X number of dollars. And that's I spent less than $20 on the antenna in the first place. It's not like I went bankrupt buying this inexpensive antenna. But I thought, I am not gonna cook up a review for anybody that,
no,
in order to get a break on the price. And a lot of people do.
They do. And what's funny is a lot of the Amazon reviews you see, they're completely fake. Legitimately fake. There's a great website you can go to. It's called fakespot.com. Got it up on the screen here. Basically what you can do, and I tested this yesterday, so this is for basically a battery bank you can get from Amazon, and it's got a light on it and whatever. But they're made by the hundreds of different brands, and people just basically slap a name on it and sell it, right?
Yep, right.
So all you do is click analyze on this one's like a B. All right. Well, some of these you go and it'll rate it as a C, a D. This site basically uses an algorithm where they're testing like language and punctuation, grammar, stuff like that to tell if it's, and then it also tests it across different products so that it'll tell you if it's real or fake, or the likelihood that it's real or fake. Because like I did this yesterday with like some SanDisk hard drives I've been looking at, and they were all A's. They're sold directly from SanDisk. They're legit seller. Yeah, some of these are so fake that it's ridiculous. But
yeah, and TripAdvisor says the average person reads 17 online reviews before settling on a vacation spot. I can't imagine reading 17 online reviews. Now, I will take the word of somebody I know. If
Absolutely.
somebody I know says, hey, we had a wonderful time here, and blah, 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 I will be guided by that. Online reviews about vacations, I don't think are going to appeal to me much at all.
But that's also why word of mouth carries so much weight with people as well. You're always more likely to trust, a product, a service, place to go, accommodations, anything like that from somebody who you know and trust versus Rando Rick on the internet.
Which is a great point. So be wary out there. Be careful what you're buying. Stop buying that junk anyway. Also, this article caught my attention because I thought this was fun. They said 7 in 10 people think that cooking for their partner is more intimate than making love. People were asked about their relationships and how cooking plays into their relationships. 79% believe that good food is the most surefire way to someone's heart. And Katie, in your case, it's that Nefla. Oh, that soup you make is so incredible.
Oh, how delicious it is!
Yeah, well, you make a number of good dishes too. Your stroganoff's quite good, but I mean, the person's worth keeping around if they can cook.
Absolutely. And a lot of people
Yep.
feel that. Honestly, a lot of people feel that way. The ability to cook is so important that 43% of people admit that they've ended relationships if their partner was a bad cook.
Yeah, I'd believe it. Yeah, I've been in some relationships before, and I did the majority of the cooking. But
You really are a good cook.
well,
You
just
made
working-
roast yesterday and it was great.
You work in a kitchen and you have to learn how to cook. And I always had to thank my stepdad for that. Before we moved in with him, I couldn't boil water without burning it. And thankfully, I learned how to cook. But I got to give Greg some credit. He makes some mean enchiladas as well, and
Thank you.
everybody's got that dish.
And
where-
that recipe is so obscenely easy that I almost hate to take any credit for that. That is an easy recipe.
But it's also one of those things where everybody's got that dish where you're feeling like crap at the end of the day. And you just have that dish and it makes you feel good. Like for
Yeah,
you, I
agreed.
know it's my Nefla. I love enchiladas. Greg, can you make enchiladas? But
She does, and she asks very sweetly, and so it's always easy to say yes to that question. All right, we've got some odds and ends. I've always got superhero news to pass along. Robert Pattinson says the ending. Robert Pattinson will be the new Batman in the Batman, and he says that the ending of the Batman sets up a sequel. What? Yeah, that's never been done before. Has he never? Every Batman movie that's ever been made out there has set up a sequel. Give me a break. That's pretty much that's just normal anymore. We're always setting up sequels. Robert Pattinson agent also said that his agent was surprised that Pattinson wanted to play Batman, and he said, Pattinson says, I just kept obsessively checking up on it for the next year or so. Even my agents were like, oh, interesting. I thought you only wanted to play freaks. And I was like, he is a freak, he said about Batman. There's also some Spider-Man news that Spider-Man No Way Home is huge. I'm guessing because I've still not seen it. We didn't go this weekend like we had planned.
no, next weekend.
But Spider-Man's first streaming service, because people are already looking, okay, where's it going to be on streaming? Where's it going to be? Where will No Way Home be on streaming? People have been asking. It will be on Stars. But here's the thing. Stars, the app and pay cable channel, is only in the United States. It's not as nearly as popular as Netflix, Disney Plus, and we'll have to also wait longer because Stars says it'll be arriving sometime over the next 6 months, and they said they'll hold it for 18 months. So once they get it, they'll hold it for 18 months. So, in other words, it's going to be a while before you see Spider-Man No Way Home available for rent or on the shelf to be able to. Does anybody actually buy movies, take them home anymore, except for me?
I think it's just you.
You may be right about that. Also, Ezra Miller, who is just the freakiest cat I've ever seen in my life. That guy is just bizarro. He is, as you know, he's the Flash, Ezra Miller, and he's the new Flash. And he posted on his official Instagram, he posted a screenshot of an article that talks about Ben Affleck's final appearance as Batman in The Flash. And then he wrote over it, ha, 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 as if he knows something other than what's being reported, that Affleck will be back. But, however, for what it's worth, Affleck confirmed that The Flash would be his final performance as Batman, And there's a theory out there that Affleck's Batman actually will die in the film. Should have said spoiler alert. Forgive me. So instead, in place of Ben Affleck as Batman in the DC universe, it will be Michael Keaton as Batman. He'll be take the role of Batman in the DC universe. We can only hope. What did you get? What do you have there? I hear sounds, but
Oh, it's ready for your next one.
so that was all I had. Is that the trailer, the commercials? Excuse me, the commercial that you're going to share?
Yeah, I found your next one here.
Because that's pretty cool. There is a great commercial that's out for Oreo, and the tie-ins to Batman are already beginning.
Two icons unite. Who? Have you got a clue?
No, I don't.
Let's play a game. Just we and you. Oreo meets the Batman, the limited edition. Get your pack for a chance to win.
That's cool, but that's an odd tie-in, Oreo cookies. But because this is a movie, and we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. There were fans that were saying, "Oh, we wanted an R-rated Batman movie. We didn't want a PG-13 movie."
Right.
So this isn't. Who's eating Oreos?
Well, hopefully not before you go to the dentist.
Right. That's that old joke by comedian's name flips my mind. He talked about eating an entire box of Oreos before he'd go into the dentist because he was attracted to the dental hygienist.
Yeah.
He would smile. Oreos in his teeth. Stephen Wright. Yeah. Stephen Wright. All right. So we got to, you and I were also talking movies that you have to watch whenever you find them. Because this happens to me. Does this happen to you, sweetheart?
Oh, yeah.
Because you come across a movie and it's like, okay, I'm stuck. I'm going to be here for the next hour and a half watching this movie or whatever the amount of time is. And what is that movie for you?
Oh, come on. You got to know this one. What's the weight of an unladen swallow?
That is a great movie. Or Holy Grail.
And of course, the perfect response is African or European. Come on.
Right.
I know every time.
I don't know.
Every time that movie's on, I got to watch that movie. I just love that movie. It makes me laugh every time. I think my favorite scene in there, though, has to be the Holy Hand. Yuck. It is just so over the top.
And that really was that cast at their absolute best, I thought. Because everybody in that's just, they're playing multiple characters, and with the exception of Graham Chapman, who played King Arthur.
Right.
I think he's the only one who didn't play multiple characters. But Eric Idle did, John Cleese did, all the others. Michael Palin did. That's a tremendous movie. I love it. Just funny as movies when I spot it. For me, it's Jaws. I am still hooked. What got me to come up with this. I saw flipping through the channels the other night and
Saturday night, I think, even
fell on Jaws, and okay, that's what I'm watching. Got to watch it from start to finish. I love that film. I think I was 13 when I first went to go see that.
But you also love to watch Shark Week and stuff too, and anything with sharks you love.
And I would say that all started with Jaws.
Yeah.
For at least for me, it did.
Laura in the chat here from YouTube is like Dances with Wolves for her.
which is a great movie.
It's a great movie. That's a 3-hour commitment right there. But it's a great movie.
Yeah, you're not going anywhere for the rest of the night.
No.
Okay, and tonight we do a rapid fire response, very quick. And the question is, movie that made you laugh the hardest,
1, 2, 3, Office Space.
which is a funny movie. I haven't watched that in a while. We need to break that one out again. 'Cause
Yeah.
that's funny.
Best scene in there has to be when they're going after the fax machine.
Right.
And then it's the guy, I got my red stapler. I got my red stapler. Now it's really
terrific.
Now, what's really funny about that is for my other job, I felt like that a couple years ago where it was like, you're going to be in this office. No, you're going to be in this office. No, you're going to be in this office. I think it was like 6.5 or 7 moves.
They didn't move you down to the basement. did
No, I
they?
didn't go to the steam pipe trunk distribution center.
Right.
And I know I obviously I did not burn the place down.
Right. And the movie for me that made me laugh the hardest, Airplane.
Oh,
Still
yep.
the one that still makes me laugh harder than it. I just love Airplane. Looks like I picked a bad week to quit taking amphetamines. You know, there's so many great lines by actors that you would never expect. That Lloyd Bridges, Robert Stack. I mean, those guys were just absolutely terrific.
But Airplane is one, though, I have to say the first one is way better than the second one. The second one is good, but the first one is
Yeah.
just so much better.
I agree with you. The second one just didn't capture the Johnny who's running around in the background. There's a sale at Penny's. It's just great stuff.
Laura says her favorite's Braveheart. That's one that she goes right to. So I don't know if that's one that would make me.
Yeah, that's more of a serious, but it's a great movie. It's
A
great
great movie.
drama.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, I wouldn't laugh.
And then finally tonight we got to go to the Cave of Wonders, and I have got we've got photos of you. This is a Funko Batmobile. There was a Batmobile back in the 60s that was made that was blue. And Funko came out with one. Now, the thing about this Funko Batmobile is it's limited to 1,250, and I've got one of them. So there aren't a lot of these out there. You couldn't walk out and just buy this on a store shelf. It was available from the 2017 fall convention that you could get these. And I picked one up obviously later and just really, really like this. I think it's incredible. So you can see some of the photos, and they've got a Funko Batman in the background, Adam West, that comes along with it. And that's one that I just have not even opened. I would not open it due to the limited number. You know, some of my stuff, I love opening them up and taking the toys out and being able to display them. This is one I just absolutely wouldn't, because it's there's a very low number of them, so rare. And I just thought that was really cool.
So what's the deal with the Japanese rating on it?
And that's part of, there were Japanese companies that made blue Batmobiles back and there were some actually you could even buy in the United States back in the 60s that were blue. I still see them on eBay, you know, they're half taken apart, or, you know.
Yep.
To buy a whole one is actually quite expensive, but they're cool.
Awesome. Well, random facts for the evening. We're going to talk about hot dogs.
Why you shouldn't eat them?
Well,
You're
we
not
all
going
know
to
why
tell me what's in them, are you?
What's the saying? You want to know how the sausage is made, go out back, or ask a butcher? Or,
Yeah.
I'm butchering that saying so bad. It's not funny. No, the National Hot Dog Association, National Hot Dog and Sausage Council, never knew there was such a thing, ruled that hot dogs are not actually a sandwich. There are plenty of debates when it comes up as to whether it actually consists, it's actually a sandwich, and it's really not.
I've never even thought of it as a sandwich. Have you?
Me neither. I would have never.
That thought never even crossed my mind.
I mean, I love hot dogs, but I wouldn't have thought.
I think
of it
they're
as a
best with mac and cheese.
chopped up in mac and cheese.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm saying.
Name-
Absolutely. Hell yeah.
All sane kids eat that when they're.
I'm still eating it.
Oh, man. But
I
it
think-
is so good.
It is good. So, anything else you want to add?
Just coming up next week, we're gonna talk a little Godzilla. I think next week.
Oh yeah, I was fired up about that.
Talk a little Godzilla next week. Greg is actually a huge Godzilla fan.
Yeah, add that to the list. That and Star Trek, Godzilla. It's a long list.
Let's see what else. Maybe some scammers next week.
Yes.
We got to talk about some YouTube or some scammers. Good fun, good entertainment.
I was looking at my stuff here to see if I had anything, but that's all I've got at least right now. We'll come up with some more fun stuff between now and then. We hope you'll be here same time, same channel.
Good evening, everyone.